From supermarket shelves to billion-dollar events, Red Bull has become the undisputed king of energy drinks. But here's the thing, this isn't just about caffeine. This isn't just a drink. It's a carefully engineered cult. Red Bull isn't just selling energy, it's selling identity. Behind the flashy events and wild marketing campaigns is a system designed to create obsession. Today, we're peeling back the story of how a drink from rural Thailand became a global empire, and how Red Bull used psychology, scarcity, and storytelling to engineer one of the most loyal followings on Earth. The story begins in Thailand, 1976. A small brown bottle called Krating Daeng was born, created by Chaleo Uvidya, a poor pharmacist's son. This wasn't a lifestyle drink, it was medicine for exhaustion, marketed to truck drivers, construction workers, and farmers, people who needed to stay awake, not stay trendy. For almost a decade, Krating Daeng lived in obscurity, until 1984 when Austrian businessman Dietrich Mateschitz, jet-lagged and desperate, drank one. What happened next is where the cult begins. Mateschitz didn't just feel energized, he felt possibility. And more importantly, he saw what nobody else did. That the West didn't need another soft drink. It needed a narrative. When Mateschitz returned to Europe, he didn't simply import the Thai brand, he transformed it. The stubby bottle became a sleek, alien-looking can. The name changed from Krating Daeng to Red Bull, and the slogan? Red Bull gives you wings. Except it was never really about wings, or caffeine. It was about rising above the crowd, about becoming something greater than human. Where Pepsi sold refreshment and Coke sold happiness, Red Bull sold ascension. It wasn't just a drink anymore. It was a story. But a story alone isn't enough. You need people to crave it. So, Mateschitz engineered scarcity. In Red Bull's early European years, it was nearly impossible to find. You couldn't walk into any store and grab one, and that wasn't bad distribution. That was strategy. Scarcity makes humans chase harder. When something feels rare, it feels valuable. And when it feels forbidden, it feels irresistible. Suddenly, drinking Red Bull wasn't just staying awake, it was belonging to an underground secret. The slim can wasn't just packaging, it was a badge. This was cult psychology in action. Hide the product just enough, and people will define it themselves by having it. Now, most brands would stop there, but Red Bull, they doubled down. Instead of sponsoring safe, predictable sports like Coca Cola did, Red Bull funded chaos. BMX crashes, cliff dives, and air races. Stunts that blurred the line between brilliance and insanity. Every event carried risk, demanded danger, and promised spectacle. And every event said the same thing. This isn't for everyone, this is for the chosen few. The crown jewel came in 2012. Felix Baumgartner's Stratos jump. Red Bull sent a man to the edge of space and then told him to jump. Over 8 million people watched live as he free fell 128,000 feet, breaking the sound barrier with nothing but a parachute. Here's the important part. This wasn't just a stunt, it was a ritual, a modern legend. And the Red Bull logo was burned into every frame. By now, Red Bull wasn't just a brand, it was starting to feel like a movement, almost like a following, even a cult. The company had built its own ecosystem of belonging. Access wasn't open to everyone, the best parties, the wildest stunts, and the VIP passes were reserved for the chosen few. Its symbols were everywhere. The silver can, the charging bowls, the promise of wings. These weren't just logos, they were badges of identity. And there were rituals, from the absurd chaos of the soapbox races, to the Stratos jump watch parties, to the underground Red Bull Music Academy. These events became shared experiences, repeated traditions that made fans feel part of something larger. Layered on top of it all was scarcity. Limited drops, viral campaigns, and just enough mystery to make people feel they might miss out if they didn't belong. Piece by piece, Red Bull engineered more than a product. They engineered identity. To hold the can wasn't simply to drink caffeine, it was a signal who you were, a projection of status, a claim to connection, and a promise of transformation. But what happens when you sell belonging to the young, the restless, and the reckless? Critics argue Red Bull has spent decades targeting impressionable minds, linking extreme risk-taking with self-worth. Health experts warn of insomnia, heart complications, and overdoses. In 2015, France banned energy drinks with high caffeine content. Norway and Denmark restricted sales. Yet Red Bull, untouchable. The illusion was too strong. Why? Because once you build identity, facts don't matter. That's the same psychology cults use, and Red Bull mastered it. The numbers tell the story. Today, Red Bull sells over 10 billion cans every single year. That's nearly 30 cans for every person in the United States. A $10 billion revenue stream built not on the drink, but on identity. And here's the wild part. Red Bull spends nearly 30% of revenue on marketing, double Coca Cola. Why? Because they're not selling caffeine. They're selling community. And community is priceless. Today, Red Bull owns sports teams, music labels, esports leagues, and Formula One cars. They don't just sponsor culture, they manufacture it. Through sports, music, and even entire cities of fans, Red Bull had become more than a brand. At this point, Red Bull isn't just a company. It's something bigger. They didn't just create an energy drink, they forged an empire. One that shaped culture, identity, and belonging. The wings were never in the caffeine. They were in the narrative. So the real question isn't, does Red Bull give you wings? The real question is, why do you want them so badly? And what does that say about you?